Good afternoon, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. We appreciate the time and consideration you're extending to us as fellow members of Alpine Country Club. In your response to our request to be added to the agenda, you raised a few important questions that have helped us reflect on how best to present our position. One of those questions asked whether we had consulted an attorney regarding the matter at hand. In truth, none of us had even considered doing so, and there are a few simple reasons for that. We stand before you today not as litigants, but as petitioners, neighbors, and longtime fellow members of this club. To pursue legal action against Alpine would, in our eyes, be equivalent to suing ourselves. That is not our intention, nor is it in keeping with the values we believe our club was built upon. Our intent is rooted in dialogue, not dispute. Another question you posed was whether we had any alternative to the wall previously approved by the membership. To answer candidly, it's hard to offer alternatives to a solution when we aren't clear of the problem it's meant to solve. As residents along Panorama Drive and regular witnesses to the quiet elegance of hall number 8, we've never been made aware of any pressing issue, safety, aesthetic, or otherwise, that would necessitate a wall alongside the southern edge. No discussions, no complaints, no call for change. So we come to you today as neighbors, equity members, and in many cases, longtime friends. We simply wish to present our perspective on this proposal, how it came to be, what concerns we have, and how we hope we can move forward together in a way that reflects both the character of our club and the community it serves. Thank you again for hearing us out. We look forward to sharing our thoughts with you. So this is Mark Anderson, my neighbor on number 8.
On number 8.
T.
That's our beautiful view.
And this is Janica. Hi, Janica.
I was just telling them this. This is where the wall will be. This is the view we have and had for 30 years.
Yeah,
30 years.
Almost 30, well,
30 years or more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we will not have this view anymore. The boat. We didn't know this was going to be this fence like this. We didn't know that.
Okay, well, this is Mark and Janica Anderson.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're wondering.
So I'm here with Clay Park in front of his house, and I just wanted to ask you that you voted for the master plan, and were you aware that you were voting for a wall?
In some parts I was.
Yes, the north wall, I believe.
Not so much to this side,
right.
The other side.
So you didn't know that this side had a wall?
I didn't really pay attention to it as much. I just heard wall, and I figured that was the side that needed the wall.
Right. And why don't you want a wall there?
I just want to be part of the country club neighborhood, and it kind of does feel like we're getting blocked out of it.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So this is my neighbor, Terry Christensen. How long you been living here, Terry?
We moved into this area, built this house in 1985.
1985. And so, how many times have you walked down this road to go play golf?
Thousands of times. This is one reason I built in this area, is to be next to the Alpine Country Club. And these were the lots that we bought here were Alpine Country Club estates. That's what they were called, and are still called.
Right.
And so I built here, moved to be here, be next to the club after I joined.
And so now they want to build a wall?
Yes.
And what do you think about that?
Well, I hate to see it. It seems like it's just really separating us from the country club. And I really enjoy the view that we've had over the years.
So this is my neighbor, Michael Hatch. And this is?
This is Koba. Hey, Koba, come here.
Koba.
Yeah, that's our dog Koba.
So we're
yeah,
here at
this
Michael's backyard, really. And I just wanted to ask you real quick, why are you opposed to the wall?
Well, it's kind of multifaceted, really. You know, my home is the newest one. Bill, I built this home. I've been here for coming up on 5 years now, and one of the biggest parts of why I bought this lot was the exposure to the club and the view of it and the comforts and such. And you know, I'm obviously a member of the club, so that was a big part of it. I have a lot of kids, you know, and so as I've looked at this in a little more detail, it feels like it would be concreted in to a feeling of
Concreted.
You know, my kids and I would feel very
separated,
suffocated in a setting where you know we appreciate the value, both not just in real estate but just lifestyle and livability of being in the proximity of the beautiful golf course. So yeah, we love it here. It's exciting and anyway, we love it here. We just don't want to see it change.
The first time I heard about the idea of a wall was several years ago during the Invitational Tournament. At that time, the discussion centered around the properties behind number 3T and number 6T, and the broader need for screening along the north side of the course. The primary concerns were straightforward and valid: to screen unsightly backyards that detracted from the course's aesthetics, and to help reduce traffic noise from the busy road along the north side. In fact, to help address these concerns early on, we even planted vines along one of the properties shown here as a natural and attractive solution. That eventually evolved into the idea of the north wall as a more permanent screening feature. When the membership survey was conducted early last year, the north wall received the most support, signaling clear interest from the membership. But here's the key point: there was no mention of a south wall in that survey. And just as importantly, there was still no mention of a south wall between the survey and the eventual vote on the master plan. It simply wasn't part of the conversation. There was no open discussion, no explanation, and no rationale provided to the membership as to why a wall along the south side facing well-maintained member homes was suddenly included. To this day, many members I've spoken with, including some who served on the golf committee or who were directly involved in the development of the master plan itself, were unaware that the south wall had been added. That speaks volumes. It feels as though it was quietly inserted without the kind of transparency, discussion, or collaborative decision making that the rest of the plan benefited from. And would anybody explain what focus group for houses means? And that's part of why we're here today, to bring attention to how this part of the plan came to be, and to offer a more thoughtful, neighborly alternative that better reflects the club's values. The primary reason for our opposition to the South Wall is its potential negative impact on the local neighborhood. Here are the key concerns. Number one, aesthetic impact. The South Wall, located on the 8th hole, would directly affect the views of the Panorama Drive neighborhood. The introduction of a large permanent structure could be seen as intrusive and disrupt the open natural feel of the area that residents currently enjoy. Number two, separation from the community. The wall would create a physical and psychological barrier between the club and the surrounding neighborhood. Many of the neighbors appreciate the current open space, and a wall might make the area feel more isolated and less welcoming. Number three, property value concerns. There's a real worry that the wall could potentially lower property values. Homeowners near the course often value their proximity to the club, but the introduction of a wall could alter the appeal of living near the course by blocking views and creating a less pleasant environment. Number four, noise and visual concerns. While the north wall was meant to address traffic noise and unsightly backyards, the south wall does not have a clear purpose or need, especially since it was not mentioned in earlier plans. Its construction would result in an unnecessary alteration to the landscape and neighborhood dynamics without sufficient justification. Number five, lack of community input. All Alpine members living on Panorama Drive were under the impression that the South Wall was still under consideration and not yet part of the finalized plan. The surprise of learning that it had already been included in the master plan without broader community input has led to frustration. Number six, we are being singled out. Another major concern is that the member neighbors on Panorama Drive feel singled out. No other proposed walls have been planned for the other parts of the golf course except for the north wall, which is intended to screen the unsightly properties where no members of the club live. In contrast, the south wall seems unnecessary, as it doesn't address similar issues elsewhere on the course and feels like an unfair burden on our neighborhood. And finally, let me point out a couple of other losses from neighbors here at the Alpine Country Club estates, and that is these two decorative iron fences. This one in particular that was built not 2 years ago and to which the club contributed money. We're coming up here to another big loss for one of our neighbors, and that is Mr. Von Anderson hedge. This beautiful hedge that he has worked on so hard for 20 years or more. And then, last but not least, is the loss of my famous blackberries. They'll be gone, folks. And in closing, I know none of you would like to have this happening on your backyard.